This is the Charbroil Urban True Infrared Grill that I just purchased yesterday at Lowe's. I assembled it last night in the garage. I have it out here on the patio now. Wasn't the easiest assembly job I've ever done. It was doable, but I found that there were some tight spaces. I actually lost one of the nuts that they provided for assembly, and I have to tell you that they give you exactly the number of nuts and bolts and washers and screws that you need, no more. So if you purchase one of these and go to assemble it, make sure you keep track of your nuts and washers, and it would probably be a good thing to secure a secondary supply so that you can replace any that get lost, because there's a nut somewhere down inside of that grill that I could not find, and I had to replace it. Luckily I had one in my supply, my pre-existing supply. So just a little bit of forewarning. Some tight spaces, especially down here, up in here with these fairings, really tight in there, getting the nuts on the screws. It was very difficult to get a wrench on them. Another thing, this magnet, there's a magnet here on the door that's supposed to keep the door shut. It doesn't even engage. I'm not sure why. It's right up against it, but it doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Another thing, when I got home, it had this dent in the base fairing. I decided not to do anything about that. It's a minor issue, but still the same. But this, the grill is getting pretty good reviews. I read online about this method of cooking. Evidently, and I haven't tried it yet, but we're going to do a pork loin tonight, so I'll get to try it out for the first time. But evidently, the this type of cooking, which has that infrared barrier down there, I forget what they call it, what the technical name for it is, but it blocks direct flame from your meat and allows the food to cook more evenly with less drying out than the common method of heating the air and letting the air dry the meat out. So we'll see how that works. I also like the fact that it's a nice small footprint. We're replacing a grill that's at least 3 times bigger than that we just don't need anymore. I've already heated the grate and the infrared barrier. They suggested that to get rid of the manufacturing oil, and I'm getting ready to season the grilling grates and the barrier, and so I'll let you know how that goes. So I've sprayed some canola oil on the grates and the infrared grid. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of bubbled up there. Put a nice coating on it. I'm going to let that set for a little bit, and once the because the grates are still a little bit warm, I can still feel the heat coming off of them. During the burn-in process, I noticed the temperature got up to about 700 degrees, which is going to be nice because I'll be able to do a little bit of self-cleaning. Might save me some time. I hope that works out anyway. That's what they show on the videos online. But anyway, I'm going to let this spray oil, this is just some spray canola oil. They recommend canola oil or some other food safe high temperature oil, and canola does that job very well. So I'll let you know how it goes. All right, the grates in the infrared plates have cooled enough, and I was able to pull them off and wipe the excess oil down. But I wanted to give you a chance to look at these at the infrared grates. This is the interesting part about this cooking style, this grilling style, and I hope it works well enough. It sounds good in theory, and from what I've seen on the internet, it works pretty well. So, paid $270 for this grill at our local Lowe's. Actually, I paid a little bit less because they offer a 10% military discount, which is really nice for us aging sailors and soldiers and Marines and everybody else. Nice that they make that consideration for all the guys who serve their country. So anyway, the other thing I want to mention before I forget about it is the problem I had with the electronic ignition. This is a battery operated ignition system, and it took me a while fumbling with the leads that go to the electronic ignition box. I'm not sure why it didn't work at first. I'm assuming I had some wires backwards. I don't know. They weren't marked very well at all. That's another flaw, I think, if that's the case. I don't know if it's the case or not, but by switching them around and fumbling around with them, I finally got the ignition to work. So you may have to deal with that if you decide to purchase one of these. Anyway, I'm going to get this put back together, fired up, and let it run for another 15 minutes to season the grill grates and the infrared plate. Before I fire this up, I'll show you where the battery for that ignition source is located. That's one of the collapsible tables. There's no side burner on this. My previous one had a side burner, and I didn't use it a whole lot. And to get a side burner, I needed to get a much bigger grill, and I just elected not to. But anyway, here's where the battery is located, right here. This just unscrews, and the battery pops in there. So when you go to light this thing, you turn your gas on as you normally would, and here's the button, and you can hear it sparking inside, and both burners just fired up. So now I'm going to close this thing up and let it season for 15 minutes. And you can see the temperature already starting to rise. When I was burning this thing in, it got up to 400, 450 in about a minute, I think. I didn't time it, but that was the that's my perception anyway. You can see this one's rising too. These thermometers I'm not really crazy about. I mean, I'm assuming that they work okay, but you have to stand back or crouch down to get a reading. It would be nice if there were some way of facing them upward where you're standing, so you don't have to go to extraordinary measures to get a reading. But you know, I'll get used to it. It's a minor issue. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, the seasoning process is pretty much over, I guess, because it's quit smoking. For about 10 minutes it was smoking pretty profusely but it stopped, so that means the seasoning process is over. Okay, you can see that the internal temperature is right around 700 degrees on both gauges. So I'm going to shut this thing down, and I'll show you what it looks like. What they said in the manual to expect is a brown or a brass color or brownish colored coating on both the infrared grate or the cooking grates in the infrared panel. So let's see what we got. Shut this thing down, and we'll open it up and take a look, and pretty much what we got. So according to the manual, this is ready to use. So this evening we're going to do a pork loin, and I'll continue this video then. So until then, signing off. Well, there's the result. Our first grilling attempt on our Charbroil true infrared urban grill. Did a couple baked potatoes as well. It's looking really good. It's kind of a little bit chilly today, windy, so it's taking a while to get this up in temperature. But one thing I did notice is that when I open the top, where my old grill would lose temperature right away, this is maintaining its temperature really well with the lid open, and that's because of those infrared emitters keeping heat inside the fire chamber. So looking good. I'll let you see what it looks like when we slice it up. Okay, here's the result. Our pork loin cutlet, which we had marinated in McCormick mesquite marinade, baked potato, and some green bean. What's the meat like, Bonnie?
Good.
Okay, there you go. I'll let you know what I think. So here's where the pork was. I let this thing burn off at maximum temperature for about 15-20 minutes to kind of carbonize the residue from the pork roast. And you see there, it looks like it did a pretty good job. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a wire brush and see if I can get it a little cleaner than that. Okay, about a minute of scrubbing with the wire brush, and it's nice and clean. There's a little bit of residue still down between the emitter, the infrared emitter, and the cooking grate, but I'll get that cleaned up when the next time I use the grill. So looking good. I guess you know, in a couple of words, I'm pretty happy with this grill so far. The meat was really tasty, really juicy, and to tell you the truth, I always hated cooking pork. It's one of my wife's favorites, that's why I do it, but the only reason is because pork tends to be dry when I cooked it before. This was definitely different than anything I've had before off a grill that I used. So my first impression is very good about this grill.